Well, welcome back to the By Reason of Insanity podcast. We are sorry that we haven't had the episode in the last few weeks, but we're happy to be back with you. Both Jeremy and I have been incredibly busy, as all of you have been as well, I imagine. The beginning of this year has been hectic for all of us, but we're happy to be back here with you guys and have another open and honest discussion. So Jeremy is out on the road this week. He's out in California, and he can tell you a little bit about what's going on there.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am in California, and I am currently leading the lead vehicle in the People's Convoy 2022. So you're probably hearing my CB in the background, which big shout out to Bob's CB Shop for the kind donation of that. Because I am the leader of this convoy, it has to remain on. I apologize. You'll hear lots of horns and people driving by in support of what we're doing. But essentially, this is a convoy that is currently 4 or 5 miles long of truckers, people from every walk of life, in motorhomes, in cars, that are on their way to Washington, D.C., to peaceably assemble and redress grievances that we have with our current government, and hopefully seeing the repeal of the Emergency Authorization Act.
Okay. So how did all this begin for you? I mean, I know you headed out last week. What was that journey like for you? What made you desire to do this? Because it's at a financial cost to you and your business and your family.
Well, so I guess the best way I can really put this is protests are not a new thing for me. In 2020, I was a part of the protests in Washington, D.C. for trucker and broker regulations and changes within the trucking industry. We sat on Pennsylvania Avenue for 21 days in May, between anywhere from 250 to 750 trucks parked on Pennsylvania Avenue. This, on the other hand, is a whole lot different situation. This is about freedom. This is about government overreach. This isn't something that just impacts truck drivers, hence the reason for it being called the People's Convoy. This is something that affects every single citizen of this country, from every walk of life, whether it is gay, straight, Christian, Muslim, black, white, left, right. It doesn't matter. This is not partisan. This is not racially motivated. This is about the people and the restoration of our freedom.
Right. And so what I've heard about it and what I've heard people discuss about it, both on the news and personally, is that people are seeing this as an anti-vaccine, anti-mask, all of that kind of protest. Is that true?
Absolutely not. This is not anti-vaccination. In fact, there are members of this convoy, if they were to choose to, whatever, that are vaccinated. I personally am. At the end of the day, this isn't about vaccination. This isn't about being anti-vax. This is about choice. This is about the forced mandates. This is about the government's power to force mandates, which is not something that they had 2 short years ago.
Right.
But thanks to the Emergency Authorization Act, they now have the ability to say jump, and we best say how high.
Right. I can recall back to, it was early spring of last year into the summer where several well-known politicians on both sides of the aisle were saying, this isn't something we have to do. We have the power to do. There are not going to be mandates. We can't force you to do anything. We can't force you to get a vaccination. We can't force you to wear a mask. And we've seen how that has flipped 180 degrees. That's power that the government didn't have before. And they admitted as much.
Correct.
And you can go back and on your own and watch a plethora of videos of politicians stating that as fact. And now
Yep.
we all know the world we're living in now, where it's commonplace to be told you have to do this, or you're not going to go out to eat, or you're not going to have a life, or you're not going to be able to work and provide for your family. It's
Correct.
just blows my mind.
Well, and there are people that are in this convoy in some of the cars and RVs who lost their jobs because of mandates and because of choosing to not be vaccinated, which is their choice. But what was the cost? The cost was their livelihood. I mean, Canada is a prime example of what's going on with these power grabs by governments. There was peaceful protesting by truckers in Canada, in Ottawa, and Justin Trudeau enacted a emergency act that's never been enacted to begin with, and is meant for war and an occupying force of violence. They arrested people, finding hundreds of thousands of dollars, taking their livelihoods, their trucks. Even the mayor up there, under using this act, is like, well, these people were here illegally. They violated the law. We now own their trucks and their cars and their motorhomes, so we're going to sell them to make up for some of the lost revenue of the little stores. My problem with that is nobody gave a crap about the lost revenue of the little stores, the mom and pops, and everybody else when the COVID mandates came out. Walmart, Target, and all them, they were allowed to remain open and they were allowed to do their thing, but
that's something that's always
the mom and pop.
That's something that's always blown my mind in regards to this pandemic and the way we've handled it. To allow Walmart and these large corporations to stay open, but to close all these mom and pop shops. Whereas Walmart, you might have hundreds of people in a Walmart, and it is a big location, but you have people walking side by side down a thin aisle, so they're in that same proximity that they would be in any store. Whereas a small mom and pop in a local business, you may have a few people perusing the store several feet or like further away from each other than they would be in a Walmart aisle. And that's
absolutely.
Just been absolutely condemned. And their businesses and their livelihood and their family and everything that they've worked so hard to build as the American dream is taken away from them with the wish of a pen.
Yeah. And quite frankly, by a government that now has authority and power to mandate pretty much anything they want to, as long as they can find some justification for doing so.
Right.
As long as they can make some rational justification, they now have the power to force basically anything they want upon us. So that's the reason for this convoy. That's the reason there's 5+ miles of vehicles lined up, and that there were thousands of people at the send-off in California with well-wishers and people blessing this convoy. Because these are people that are going to make a stand against a government that has become tyrannical.
So I think we've done a pretty good job on this podcast of,
10-4 to the people on the overpass coming up here on Hinckley. That is a beautiful sight. I mean, this is a good example. We're coming up on an overpass, the convoy is, and it is lined from one end to the other with people who are in support of this convoy.
Yeah, I mean, there's
it's absolutely phenomenal.
And that's the truth of it. It is supported, but you're not going to see it on the news, and that's why we felt that this is an important podcast to be doing with you guys.
Well, I can tell you, we have embedded media with us.
Right.
So we have Newsmax and a couple other organizations that are letting us tell our story.
But you're not going to see this
And
on the mainstream media, or if you do, it's going to be painted in a light.
no flashers other than the lead truck, other than me.
Yeah, what I was saying is, if you do see it, you're not gonna get the true story
No,
from the majority of the time, and that's what we're trying to do here, is give an open and unbiased, look into what's going on. And obviously, as a participant, Jeremy has a strongly held belief, but that doesn't mean that you necessarily have to agree with him. But the reason our country is so great and that democracy is so great is because he has that ability to do that. He has the ability to participate that. And if you so choose, you have the ability to support that and agree with him. If not, more power to you, right? It's exactly
correct.
What you're fighting for, is it not?
Yes, absolutely. Hold on one sec. We're on channel 19, man. So here. So here's the deal. We don't have. This is not a partisan thing. This is literally about the people. It's about our freedom. It's about us having the freedom to make the choices that we want to make with our lives. Right. Not a government, not a school district, not any organizational group. It is about us being able to be the free citizens that we are, and removing the power our government now has to tell us exactly how we're going to live.
Power that has historically been against everything that the country stands for in its founding.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's way too much. The government has way too much power. Period. End of story. It was never meant to have the power that it does to begin with. It was not how our founding fathers envisioned it. A quick read or study of the Declaration of Independence tells you exactly what's going on right here, right now. This is what the Declaration of Independence describes.
Yep. So
when the people have reached a certain point and they have been subjugated beyond what is right or fair, their only recourse is left to make a stand and to stand against that tyranny.
Right. So I think over the past couple of years, all of us have known or I've seen let me see how to say this. Popular protests that have been nationally covered and supported.
Correct.
And for some reason, this protest is not. What do you think that reason is?
Well, it's because it's okay. I'm going to be very honest. It's narrative. This is not the narrative that is being pushed by the people that push narratives. This is the counter narrative. And of course, when the mainstream media and those folks who control the mass produced media have that much power, they're going to silence or attempt to silence the voices of people whose narrative is counter that of the establishment.
Right. And so
wow.
What's that?
Look at this overpass. I wish I could turn my camera around. Wow, this is incredible. The outpouring of support is absolutely freaking phenomenal. Hold on a minute. Let me see if I can turn my camera out the opposite direction so people can actually see. I'm just turning my camera the wrong way around. I just grabbed it off where I had it setting so people can see the folks on top of this overpass and the flags waving. and just the massive amount of support.
You get it?
That is absolutely. I mean, I don't know if I got it on because I can't see my camera when I did that.
So you actually flipped your screen?
Well, no, I didn't flip it. I just picked up the whole camera and held it in my hand in the windshield.
Right.
But because I'm using the forward-facing camera right now because I couldn't figure out what to do.
Right.
Because I'm trying to drive. So yeah, but I mean, it's absolutely incredible. There's so much support, and I mean, this is what a lot of people would call a working class movement.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at the end of the day, it's not about truckers. I mean, there are airline industry people in this convoy. There are doctors in this convoy. Truckers just happen to be leading the way because, hey, we're a bunch of roughnecks that love our country and would do anything for our freedoms.
Right.
Including stand against hostility and a government that no longer sees us as valuable.
I know there's some protests going on or planned that, sorry, 1 second. Some protests that are planned and related to the nursing field too, because the government wants to mandate or set a limit on the wages that travel nurses can make.
Correct.
And that's another, I think, overstep, them stepping into private industry and mandating.
Hold on a second. Yeah. Oh, no, you're 100% correct. Yeah, 10-4. All right, gentlemen, we are coming up on I-15. We are going to be taking 15 to 40. So, all right. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Do my job in the front of the convoy.
So how did that come about? I'm curious because that's pretty awesome if you ask me.
So because I have been involved with protests with the main organizers of this convoy before, they know my heart. They know that I'm trusted, and we needed an escort vehicle to kind of lead the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was given that honor, absolutely positively given that honor to be able to do this. And, it takes somebody from the trucking industry to know and understand what an escort is and how to escort miles of vehicles. Right. And make sure the information is being disseminated so there's no accidents, so there's, as few obstructions as possible.
Right. You're not just driving ahead of everyone. You're relaying information such as, bridge heights, traffic.
Well, I mean, we're on routes that we're on routes that are all truck legal, so we don't have to worry about size, like height and stuff like that. But what we do have to worry about is traffic and the fact that we are doing the state minimum speed limits.
How fast is this convoy moving across you're still in California right now?
Yeah, right now we're doing 45 miles an hour. And we are coming into Barstow, California. We will be stopping in Kingman, Arizona. That will be the first leg for the day. And then tomorrow we will move on, and it's a different leg every day until we get to DC.
Now, I understand that you guys have a lot of security and precautions, and this isn't some willy-nilly convoy. We're talking a 5-mile long, at this point, group of trucks, motorhomes, cars, and vehicles in general. And
yes,
these people that have organized this have reached out to municipalities, to states,
yes,
in advance, working with public officials, working with law enforcement,
yes.
working with lawyers, and security professionals as well, to maintain the safety of everyone involved in the convoy and the general public. And it's just a massive undertaking. Would that be a fair assessment?
Oh, yeah, absolutely would be a fair assessment. So, anyways, like I said, there's people coming in and out. They'll be getting fuel. New people will be joining in. We'll be picking up people at each location that we stop at.
Yeah, so that's something I wanted to talk about. Because you arrived in California on Tuesday, right?
Monday night.
So Monday night, what was the experience like that? What was the experience there, getting in preparation for this convoy, and how many people were there? What kind of support was there?
Okay, so there was a lot of support. When initially we got there, we were some of the first ones there, and it just started to fill in from that point on. Well, like you said, we're over 5 miles in total length, between trucks, cars, and RVs, and there was probably an additional 3,000 or 4,000 people there in support.
Wow.
So you're talking 4,000 or 5,000 people. Not to mention overpasses have hundreds of people on them. I mean, this is not just how cute. Some truckers decided they were gonna go ahead and drive across the country. This is like organized with a lot of support.
Right.
So
I think that speaks volume to the commitment of the people that are doing this, including yourself, because one thing I've noticed is that a lot of the groups that were set up on popular social media platforms were shut down in order to prevent this from happening.
Well, and our main Convoy page the original page had 180,000. It got shut down, and by the time it was all said and done, the new page had 150,000, and we've been playing by the rules nicely, so they've left us alone.
That's good.
All right, gentlemen, we are 1/2 mile at the front of the convoy from the Needles exit. Right hand, we're going to be making a right onto I-40 East.
When's the planned arrival in DC?
It all depends. There is no set date as of yet, based on how the convoy proceeds. We have to literally take this day by day, and it's a very fluid situation in relation to routing that we're taking. Because again, everything needs to be cleared and kind of set up with DOT and police departments, and where we're able to, because we're not violating the laws.
Right.
We're operating at the minimum legal speed limits. We're not trying to create chaos. We're not trying to lock down cities, but we want to be a presence. We want the world to see that, hey, wow, there are people really willing to stand. Period. End of story.
So would it be fair to say
and they're doing it peacefully?
So we're going to be talking about this again next week.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We'll be talking about this again next week. I will be providing some photos,
yeah, I sent Jeremy out with the drone and some other equipment.
Yes.
So he's going to have some interesting stuff to share with all of our audience, all of you guys.
And thank you. I want to say thank you to Devin, because he's at home. I wanted him to come with, but he has some other things that going. But he's going to be the one that's handling all the legwork with the videos and pictures and all the rest of it. And I'm really sorry that it's getting thrown on you like this. I wanted to say one other thing too, though. So I want to say real quick a big thank you to all of the people who are standing behind this movement, to the moms, the wives, the kids that are, currently their husbands, boyfriends, dads are now out for potentially, a couple of weeks to stand for the freedoms for the American people. I mean, like, my family, they get it, but they didn't want to see me leave for weeks. And I mean, I just want to say thank you. And we, as a collective of drivers and airlines and doctors and everything else, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for the support and the love that you are showing.
Yeah. And I think it'd be fair to say that everyone thanks you all for your sacrifices as well. Whether you agree or not, These are people that are standing up for what they believe,
Yes,
and that are
absolutely.
showing conviction and sacrifice for a cause that they see as just. And whether you agree or not, that's honorable in my book.
Yeah, amen, man. And that's at the end of the day, that's what this is. This is, we're standing on our feet, and we're doing it peacefully. We have a centered message. We're doing it for the people, and we're all honored to be carrying the banner of freedom to the Capitol to stand for America.
Awesome. Well, you're hearing it firsthand from the People's Convoy of 22 on the By Reason of Insanity podcast. We're happy to be able to provide this insight and shed light on an important issue, as we always try to do, and have an open and honest discussion about it.
Yeah.
And we thank you guys for listening, and hope you'll follow along as we post pictures and videos and new episodes.
Amen. And brother, thank you again for trying to working all of this out long distance. I know this isn't easy for you, having to man all the controls there. So thank you. And thank you, audience, for tuning in. This country's not ever seen something like this, and it is an absolute honor to be able to be a part of it, let alone sitting in the front of it. So thank you, and I look forward to giving you guys an update on the next podcast.
All righty. Thanks for listening.